Hey guys, it's Doc, and today we're up at the Crisson Gold mine in North Georgia, in Dahlonega, Georgia. And I'm going to spend a little time here and I'm going to run you through some of this. There's a lot of history at this place, and so I'm going to run you through some of this. I'm going to show you some of the equipment that's around. We're really just playing around up here today. We've got the Gold Hog and we're going to be setting it up, running it in a little bit different mode today. So I'll show you the Gold Hog unit, and then I'm going to take you around the place and show you some of the stuff, because it really is kind of neat. There's a lot of history here. There's a lot of old equipment. So I'm going to take you different spots in this place. I'm going to show you some of the old equipment, show you some of the stamp mill operation that they got up here still. And like I said, we're going to run a bunch of dirt here. They bring it in with a tractor right to your workstation. They dump it down. And this is a stamp mill. This is an old stamp mill, I think over 120, over 130 years old. So they actually dig out ore and they crush it here. So when it comes down, it's sort of this fine mix, but there's a lot of heavy material inside of it. Now, from time to time while we're doing this, you're going to hear equipment going by, because they do have an active operation here. They still crush the rock, they crush the ore here. They have areas for people to come down and pan, run machines. They've got gold cubes set up. They've got mini trommels. They've got panning stations. They've also got dirt. I think it's from North Carolina, that has gems inside of it that you can work. But it's a real nice, I'll show you that pavilion that they've got. The pavilion actually has a bunch of wash stations in it. You can work under there out of the sun. It's real nice. Or you can come over and they've got these trommels and you can run the trommels. You buy the dirt, they come in and it's a bucket full, dump load full. Run the dirt, and like I said, we're going to run the Gold Hog today with it and see what happens. It's going to be kind of neat. I've got the mini HD cam, and I'm going to run you through real quick how we're going to set the Gold Hog up today, but we're really going to set it in concentrator mode. All right, so normally when we run this machine so that the skimmer tray underneath here is actually working like a classifier or grizzly, and only the smaller material dumps in here into this tray below. But today we're going to push this unit back. So I'm going to push this top tray back so there's a hole here, so everything's going to dump into tray number 2. So the way I've got it set up today is I've got UR mat on the top. I'm covering up that skimmer tray. Scrubber mat, I go down, UR mat with expanded metal in it, and then I'm going back down to scrubber mat on here. Again, we've devised this little 1/8 punch plate unit that creates sort of a little fluid bed inside this thing. So you've got a little bit of a fluid bed action going on here, and then it'll come down. You'll see probably gold caught in here, come down and process through. Now what I've done is, on this system, is I've got a sluice as a catch just to double check, see if I got any losses, because we're going to be running probably about 4 or 5 loads through this. So what I've done is I've just sort of rigged up. Let me show it to you. I've sort of rigged up. So the material is going to be dumped in here, and it's going to go down this first tray, down the second tray, down the third tray, in the last 4th tray. Then it's going to exit here, and it's going to go over this sluice that I've got set up. And then it's going to dump into our pit over here. And these are the pits that they have, which are pretty cool. Now, one thing you need to understand is they really don't have stream access here. So if you're going to bring a unit here, you need to have either a recirculating system. We're running two 2,000 gallon bilge pumps today. So we're going to be running 4,000 GPH through this thing, set as a concentrator mode. Running all this material, I expect to have a little bit of loss in it. So that's why I'm going to test for losses in that sluice right here. This material, because it's crushed ore, I'm going to show it to you real quick, but this material has an absolute ton of black sand in it, a lot of heavies. Even though there's a lot of quartz in this stuff, there's still a lot of black sand in it. And so what we're going to do is I'm going to have David's going to be feeding into here. It'll drop down, go into the fluid bed area down here, runs off, exits down, dump into the first tray. Again, I've converted this into UR mat. Then it's going to go to scrubber, But again, I can play with this unit. This is one of the nice things about this unit. You know, gold prospecting really is about challenging your mind, and it's about trying to figure things out. And that's why I like it so much. So you can always experiment. So let's say you wanted to run Vortex, that large face Vortex with expanded metal in the last tray. Run it, Vortex alone. Change it around. You can do anything you want here. You can treat your mix to 4 different levels of matting surfaces. That's the beauty about this part. So, like I said, that's how the setup we're going to run today. Then I'm going to take you around and show you some stuff. Then hopefully we'll see some gold here in a minute. Okay guys, so what we're going to do is we're going to be running this unit pretty much non-stop today. David's going to come over here and he's just going to be feeding the buckets just at a constant rate. Working this thing at a constant rate. Rick's going to stand over there and he's just going to keep filling the buckets for David. And we're just going to run it and run it and run it and run it. And again, this thing can process. One thing you got to understand about this is the amount of surface area that you have. A typical, let's say a stream sluice might have 200, 300 inches of surface area. You're talking now, since I've got this in concentrator mode with 4 trays, 1,100 to 1,200 square inches of surface area that material is going to be worked on. So we can put through a lot of material on this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start her up. So when he feeds this unit, he's going to take this ore and he's just going to be shaking it lightly into the unit. Now unfortunately, I'm standing on a slope. The only thing bad about this setup is we're sloping away here. And I've got this unit set up real kind of high because I've got to have it high enough to go into the pit plus hit that sluice down there. Okay guys, so we got the unit running. And what's happening is David's just dumping it in. We've got it pecan mode. You'll see a little bit of water splashing around. That's normal. Everything's going through the machine. It's going through all 4 levels. And then it's going through that savior sluice down there as a testing sluice, sort of a insurance sluice. And we're going to check that, see how much losses we had or how many losses we had. And I expect with this material, probably to have a little bit because this thing's going to load up with black sand really, really quick. So we're just going to run it and run it and run it. So here's what we've got. David's putting material in here. The material's running down. It's hitting that fluid bed with a new punch plate. Coming down, dropping, going through, again, 1 surface, 2 surface, 3 surface, 4, and then out. And then we've got our little insurance down here. Insurance sluice. And I would imagine we'll probably catch a little bit down here. But like I said, I should be able to get running as much material as we're going to be running today. I should be able to capture probably 98% right in this machine, but it's going to be a ton of material. You can already see, hold up one sec. You can already see that this sort of creates a drag under here. Fine gold gets caught under here, and it's low velocity under this new fluid bed. Then it comes down and it gets faster and faster and faster, the velocity. So I've already got one little piece of gold sitting over here, and I've got another one over here. Nice coarse piece of gold there. So we're going to watch it. We'll see how she flows. Hey guys, it's Doc, and today we're up here at the Crisson Gold mine, and I'm going to try and sort of walk you through this operation because it's a little complicated. This is sort of how this whole process, and I'm going to go try and capture a picture of them in the old days too, but the whole process would start up here, and the large rocks would actually come into this sort of cement mixer thing that I'm going to show you up close. That cement mixer tube up here and be washed down. The rocks will be washed. Then it's going to come down, it's going to go into the jaw crusher, and I'll show you the jaw crusher. It's that sort of red, rusty looking machine. That jaw crusher would take it down to about 4 inches in size. Then it's going to go up into that holding bin, and there's a holding bin over here. After the holding bin, it's going to come down into the hammer mill, which is the green machine. Goes into the hammer mill, and the hammer mill is going to crush it up to about 1/4 of an inch fines. After it goes to the hammer mill, then it's going to come over here and it's going to come to the shaker table. Goes into the shaker table. Again, this is an operation to get some of the gold out, but anything that didn't get crushed or got mixed actually would go down and go into the ball crusher. Then we'll go into the ball crusher and it get reduced to a very, very fine powder. Then after that, it's going to go into the Humphrey spirals, which I'm going to show you. And then I'm going to walk over and show you the next system, and the ball mill turns it into a super fine powder. Then it's going to go down to the cyanide tanks, and the cyanide tanks would turn the gold into that liquid state, and that liquid gold would actually be sitting at the bottom of those tanks. And so I'm going to take you down there and show you those too. But I'm going to shoot some of this close up too. All right, so I'm going to use my fingers, you have to excuse me, but there's that main plant that would bring in the large rock, and it go up here, and it go up into this crushing zone over here, into the jaw crusher. So there's your jaw crusher. It would come down to this holding tank. It's about 4 inches, drop down, going over to this stamp mill right here, that stamp crusher right there, the hammer mill, crush it down fine to 1/4 of an inch. It's going to come across, back over into the shaker table. After the shaker table, it's going to run through and process. Anything that really didn't get crushed up that fine is actually going to go down to the ball crusher. You get into the ball crusher and it's going to turn into a very, very fine powder. After that, it would actually run through the Humphrey spirals and concentrate it. And then I'm going to take you down and I'm going to show you the cyanide tanks. Okay guys, so here are those tanks down here. These are the cyanide tanks. So that super fine concentrate and powder gold would come in here, start to feed into each one of these tanks over here. These tanks would be turning in here and they would have cyanide in it. The cyanide would turn the gold actually into a liquefied state, and the gold would actually be sitting at the bottom of those tanks down there. After it came out, there's a bunch of tanks down there, and that's the final process for that superfine gold. Okay guys, so they got done running, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and shut the unit off, and we should probably be able to see some gold sitting up in here, and then we'll get down in here, but we'll see what we got rolling. All right, I'm going to try and get a little bit in the shade over here. It's kind of hard to see, but this is that fluid bed over here, and I'm going to try and go in and show you some of the gold, but there's a nice old big chunk right there. There's gold sitting right in here. There's gold right in here. Again, there's a piece right there, right after that fluid bed. There's gold right in there. You can surely see that piece there. But you can see how these the UR channels they're just all black sand and gold. They really are nothing but black sand and gold. I'm gonna try and follow my finger here. It's kind of hard. Kind of hard sometimes to get it to focus too. But you can see the gold right in there. So again, when we run this unit, I'm guessing that probably 50% of our gold is going to be up on this first tray. And then we'll probably go down to maybe 20% and whatever. Now I am running that third level, which is actually second now. So I've got UR, scrubber, and then I've got UR with some expanded metal on top, and then I've got scrubber again. So that's just the configuration we're running today, and we're running it at 4,000 GPH. And I'm going to pull this header box off. We're going to take a look at it real quick. Take off my header tray now. I've just done a run in there, and I'm going to be real careful with it. And that's where a lot of my gold is going to be. So we put that down here. And then I'm going to take a look in here. This is the first tray that sort of treats it normally, in a normal manner. That first one has a fluid bed right before it. So again, if I'm going to have gold in here, I should see some decent gold in here. And I'm going to have to go around and try and get away from this glare. Let me try, see if I can zoom in a bit. I'm sure you can probably see that piece there. That's a nice piece of gold tucked up under that micro riffle. I've got gold up over in here. See, if I catch some gold right up in this top section too. And then right behind there, you can see that piece of gold right in here. So I've got gold. There's a nice little chunk right in there. Up under that riffle, way up under that riffle, there's a nice chunk. Man, how does that stuff tuck in there like that? That's amazing. Now, when you stop running your unit, the funny thing is you'll have a little bit of blonde sand here, so you can't see your gold under here, because just like a normal riffle, that little blonde sand is going to settle on top, so I really can't get in there and see the black sand that's under there. The black sand and gold that's under there, but that'll be interesting to see that stuff. Alright, and just so you better understand, here's the skimmer tray that we've now converted into a concentrator unit with a UR mat and that specialty punch. And then we go over here, and this is our number 1 tray, which has all scrubber mat. Then I'm going to go in here and I'm going to go UR mat with expanded metal on top of it. And then below that, I've got another level of scrubber mat that's running down through here. So it'll be interesting to see. Now sometimes what ends up happening is sometimes the only gold I find in this 4th tray is going to be like a flake gold that really wants to swim. Really, really, really flat gold that wants to swim. I really don't see a lot of gold in this 4th tray right now. Normally it would stick out like a sore thumb. And then, of course, once it goes out of this tray, we're going to go down here. And then we're going to check our catch box down here. And this is sort of our emergency catch. And like I said, the amount of material and as fast as we're running this, you normally do not run this type of material this fast through here because it's crushed ore. It runs through slower and smoother. Well, we're going to go through here and we're going to check this emergency system here, just in case. But I can tell you right now that if there was a bunch of gold getting out of this box, I'd see some of it right up in here, and right now I don't see any. I mean, I don't even see any fine stuff like minus 50 stuff. That's where it would normally be, or it would normally be up under this one riffle right here. So we'll check this box and see if we had any losses. But what's interesting about this is I want you to see. Alright, so what I want you to see is we come out of the 4 trays, we go into the emergency sluice, the little insurance box we have on the end. So we come out of here, we're coming out of the back of the Gold Hog, across this unit, and into the pit. But this is what's interesting, and this is what I want you to see. You can see the amount of black sand, now that we stop running, you can see the amount of black sand that we're having to deal with. So all this black sand has been run through that box, and this is just a very, very top layer. But I wanted you to see that. Hopefully I'll get my finger in there, maybe you can see a little better. But that's all black sand in there, mixed in with this light, and it just goes for levels and levels and levels. So the point to the matter is, and a lot of people don't understand this, is a lot of black sand is actually going to leave your box. You will not capture all your black sand. That's important to understand. You've got to have a matting system, or you've got to have a sluice system that can actually have black sand leave it but still catch the gold. That's an active matting, and I can't stress that enough. You've got to have that system set up where a ton of black sand can go through your system, but yet you catch all the gold. And you can see from the amount of material, we're holding mainly just black sand and gold in the box, but there's a ton here. Okay guys, what I'm going to show you right now is I'm going to show you how this mat should be set up. And right now you can see there's a little bit of material, and these particles are really dancing inside there. Now go ahead and feed some material kind of heavy to it. Now what you're going to see is you're going to see these lines fill up white. Now stop. And now you can see how they're working down. See how they've all of a sudden they've gone back to that state where they're holding just a little bit of material now. That's what you want to see. So I'm going to try it one more time. I'm going to try it long way. Keep my hand in there so it darkens it up. And go ahead and feed it. You can see them turning white. And now stop. So now they're white and they're heavy. Now all of a sudden they're going to get darker. And that's how we exchange out that material. Hey guys, I'm sitting here cleaning out these trays, and I've already done the first top UR mat over there that goes in here, and this is the second tray. So you go to the second tray, and I'm going to take you to the second riffle of the scrubber and the third riffle of the scrubber, and you got to see this. This is pretty cool, but this is what I want to show you. I want to show you, number one, there's a nice piece of gold sitting right there, but look it up under this riffle here. Look at that monster. That's a big old flat monster. There we go. And that's not even under the huge riffle. That's under that safety catch riffle. And then there's another one. I forgot where the other one was. Oh, there's another one right there. Another piece right there. Nice looking piece. But that's a mammoth right there. That's a big old chunk of gold. You don't find many of those here, but every once in a while you'll get one. And here's right up under that drop area. There's a nice piece there too. But again, you can see how much black sand. There's the main riffle ramp. There's the main first riffle ramp. Black sand all in here. Here's that big chunker right in here. More gold right in here. Up in here you're going to see fines. Another big chunk over here. Another big chunk over here. There's a lot of gold this batch right here. Okay guys, so what I'm going to do is, this is the first tray, right after the UR mat skimmer tray on top. And you'll see these big pieces that are almost too large to fit into the UR mat. Over a quarter of an inch. Over a quarter of an inch. And again, this is running crushed ore, straight crushed ore out of the stamp mill. You can see another piece here. And then I'll have a bunch of fines. I mean, there's stuff you can't see. All the fine stuff is going to be tucked way in behind those riffles. There's a nice another chunk there. But you can see that in relation to the mat, all this big chunky gold is right here where it starts to fall. and then it all disappears down here. There's none of it. So most of my fine gold and smaller gold will be down here on the mat. So again, this is tray number 1. Hey guys, what I'm going to do now is we got a lot going on here. We're cleaning out trays from this cleanup we did, so I'm going to show you how we clean up the mats. And I'm going to sort of leave and sort of zoom in on the bucket so you can see it. So I'm going to take a mat that's raw out of the Gold Hog and show you how I do it. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Alright, so I've got my mat here, and this is from the 4th level of the Gold Hog. And here's how you clean your mats. It's real simple, real easy. Just put it in the bucket. 1, 2, 3. The mat's still going to have some in the grooves. Now you're going to reverse roll it. Reverse roll it. 1, 2, 3. And the mat's all clean. I go back in and reverse roll it the other way, tighter. 1, 2, 3. Now the mat's completely clean. There's nothing in the mat now. It's all clean. So it opens up those grooves when you reverse roll it. So it goes from here to opening them up and everything falls out. Mat's all clean. 5-10 second cleanup. That's what's great about it. Hey guys, this is some of the quartz that we're talking about that they actually still crush and used to be crushed way back when. But this goes through that stamp mill behind me. Pretty interesting stuff. If you look at it, you can see some mineral deposits on some of these stones, but you'll find that's where all the gold deposits are going to lie. And your heavy mineral deposits are going to be woven in on these old quartz rocks and stone. Pretty interesting. I'm going to give you a peek at one of them if I can. Try and find one that's got a little bit more variation versus just a plain white one. But you can see the difference, hopefully. Hopefully you can see the difference on these two stones, and I'm going to get them in the light. But this is that pure white stone, and then you've got this other dark stone, all different colors into it. And you can probably see some stuff inside there, but I wanted to at least let you see those. These are both quartz. I mean, they're both quartz rocks, but the variations of strands that run through them. Hey guys, so this is one of the stamp mills, and I figured I'd just get here and show you a perspective on it. But this is that's a big old wheel right there. Basically, on the flywheel system, all your rods come down. Rock goes in here. Rock gets crushed, washed down, washes out here, and washes down that system over there. I want to get some close-ups. There are those flywheels. There's that big old wooden wheel on the end. Then these tubes, these steel bars, come all the way down, 400 and something pounds each. And then they go inside. Let me get some. And you can see where it crushes the stone inside. And they just pound away and pound away and pound away. And all that stone that gets crushed is going to wash down in through here. It's going to wash out of these trays over here, come down, of course, be worked in through this right here, down through that little tray, all the way down.
Hey guys, so this is what a stamp mill sounds like. You can hear it. That's it actually running, crushing stone. I thought I'd give you a little taste of it. That's what a stamp mill sounds like. This is the one that they actually still use right now. They actually use this stamp mill right now. This is how they actually crush a lot of their ore.
Okay, this is the concentrates that I've cleaned down from the insurance sluice. So that sluice that we had running after the Gold Hog unit to check for any losses. Now again, I want you to remember that we're talking about running 4 loads of material through that machine. That's a lot of material, a huge amount of black sand. So my expectation was, of course, was to have some losses. And I've worked this material down. Surprisingly, I had almost 2/3 of a gallon of concentrates in that sluice. So I had a lot of material and I had to really carefully work it down. And I've got down and I've worked this a couple times, but I wanted to show you the results of it. So let me go in here. Let's see if I can get it for you. But right at the tip of my finger, there is a piece of -50 right there. Kind of hard to see. That piece right there. It's smaller than a 100. So that's what it looks like to the naked eye. So essentially what we did was we worked all this down very carefully. We checked our insurance sluice at the back, and we found about, I would say, a total of 7 pieces, 1 or 2 -50s, and the rest of them were either -100s or closer to -150s. And for running the amount of material, that's pretty good. So again, and when you see what we did on the main recovery side, I think it'll put it into proportion. But I'm really pleased with that run. Again, we're big stressors on the fact that we never ever want to claim 100% recovery rate. Even if we do, we're not going to claim it. But if I can get 99% recovery rate on a heavy run with a lot of black sand in it, that's an impressive run for me. So that's good. Okay guys, so I promised that I'm going to try and do something fun today, and let me explain how I did this. We ran a ton of material through that machine the other day, and what I did was we did one real quick cleanup, and then we did a regular cleanup on the mats. So we ran 2 loads, quick cleanup, and then we did the final cleanup. When I did that, I put it all into one bucket and I didn't look at it. Now I have seen some of the gold sitting in the mats, and I showed you some of the gold sitting in the mats. but I have not taken a look at this yet. So what I did is I took my cons. It ended up being about half a gallon of cons, and I put them in my pan, and I gently panned it, and I took off very carefully. I took off just surface lights very carefully. So I haven't done anything else with it. So these cons are the way that they came off the mats from the mine. And you'll notice that I've got a lot of light still in here, and I've got full-size rocks. Again, we didn't classify any of this material, so you're going to see large rocks in here, and you're going to see a lot of lights. But I'm going to try and show you some of the gold in here. Now, the important thing about this is I haven't seen it either. So I have not taken a look at these cons. All I've done is just panned off the top. So I'm kind of excited about it too. Let's see what we've got. So I'm going to gently just work it down, and it's going to be tough because I've got as you can see, I've got a huge amount of black sand. And don't forget, there's just black sand just piling out of that machine out the back too. So I'm going to be taking it down. And one of the reasons, and one thing you're going to see is you're going to see the difference between gold that's in its natural core state or the ore state and low deposit type ore versus placer gold. You will find larger in placer gold, but this is one of those instances where you get a lot of nice chunks, and you cannot screen this stuff down to 1/8 of an inch. You cannot do it. You have to run it through at 3/8 of an inch, and you're going to see why. Even 1/4 of an inch sometimes is too small. And one thing I want to show you too is, so you understand this, is that here's the top of my pan over here. Here's the top of my pan over here. And the gold, I've actually got gold sliding already way down over here. So I'm having a bunch of gold slide by me. There's my first big one. I don't know if you can see that or not. My first big one. I'll get my finger in there for a little perspective, but there's a big old chunk of gold. And you can probably see there's other gold forming right in here. But I've got a piece of minus 100 over here, minus 50 over here, another minus 100, another minus 50. And I know everyone wants to look over here, but I'm looking at the fine stuff. But I do want to show you, this is my initial viewing. So here's my initial viewing of some of the gold. And that's some pretty stuff there. There's so much black sand in here. I mean, I just can't. It's just like mud. I can't get the gold to stay up in one spot. So that's some real pretty gold. Okay, I'm back again, and let me tell you what I've done. All right, so here's what I'm doing. I'm going through, so you can see this. I'm going through, and what I'm doing is I'm taking these huge pieces of gold out. See if I can get them on there for you. I'm taking these huge pieces of gold out of there, just setting them on a plate off to the side. Then I've gone in and I've taken some of the larger, we'll call them pickers, we'll call those nuggets, these are bigger pickers. I've gotten some of those off with a sniffer bottle. And so now what I'm doing is I've panned it down real aggressively. Now I panned it down into a little tub, and I'm going to rerun that through the gold cube and try and work it for my minus 100s, minus 50s, minus 200s. But for right now, I'm just trying to go through here and get out the stuff. Because if I run it to the gold cube, I've got to screen it to 1/8 of an inch. And I know that there's gold in here bigger than 1/8 of an inch. So that's why I'm going to work it like this and maybe let you see a little bit more of it. And again, I'm not trying to be real careful with it, but you can see some of that gold in here starting to form. And so what I'm going to do is unfortunately, I'm going to start to snuff some of it up. Like that piece won't even go in the bottle probably. I've gotten out most of the big gold that I could, and then I screened the material to 1/8 of an inch, ran it to the gold cube, and now I've taken it down to about 3/4 of a cup maybe. And so now I can look at it a little bit better. There's not going to be a huge amount of fine gold in this material. Again, this is crushed ore, so we won't have a fine. We've been out showing you catching -50, -100, and -200 gold. We figured we'd go out and show you some bigger stuff for a change. You can see at this point I'm kind of ignoring this stuff. This is all -20s, -30s, somewhere in there. I'm looking for the stuff that's -50 to -100 type. But I'm really just ignoring this. I'm even letting it blow by. Whew. But again, I'll have to work this down and go through it and take my time with that stuff. That stuff's small. Okay guys, so now you get to join me in the kitchen for my gold recipe. So I've dumped my bottle into here. See a couple little suds in there. That's a little bit of soap in there. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this bottle and I'm going to tip my pan very gently, and I'm going to get the gold. I'm going to get water out of there and no gold. I'm going to get as much as I can out. Then I'm going to turn this burner on high, and I'm going to let the gold cook. Again, make sure I don't suck up gold. I've got most of my water out, and now I'm going to let the gold cook for a couple of minutes. Now, quick note on this, while you're doing this, just turn on your vent fan. Just in case there's any mercury in it. So now all my water's gone. Shut off that fan. Now I've got my bottle. I've got my glass bottle. You need to make sure that it's glass before you put it in the pan. And I just let it sit and sort of cool down for a while. What I'm doing here is I'm warming up this bottle, getting any, if I've used this before. If I've used it before, then I will make sure that it's dry. And there's my gold. And that's a nice old bottle of gold right there. Real happy with that. Alrighty, some of you guys know this, most of you know this, but just in case you don't, what I'm going to do is I'm going to teach you how to zero out your scale to weigh it. So I've got two bottles here. So I've got the gold in one bottle and a blank bottle. And I know when I started they both weighed right about the same, not exactly. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to put the empty bottle on my scale and I'm going to turn it on. And now it'll zero out based on the fact of the weight of that bottle without anything in it. So my scale is at 0. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put my gold on it, and I'm right at 5 grams. And that's pretty good, 5 grams of gold.